Did you ever unreservedly place your trust and pay a devastating price for it? Did you feel that your generosity was mistaken for frailty? Or did you perceive too late that your eagerness for acceptance only rendered you completely irrelevant? Machiavelli once decreed, "He who desires to be virtuous in every respect inevitably comes to ruin among so many who are not." Nietzsche would complete it, "He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster." And you? Are you confronting the pertinent adversaries, or are you merely embracing your own faults, designating them as merits? We traverse an era where all crave to be heard, but few are willing to lend an ear, where worth is measured by approvals and silence. That gold of the wise is mistaken for cowardice, where foolish individuals are not the most uneducated, but those most oblivious to their own folly. This video production is an unsparing mirror, a glass that grants no pardon, exposing the marks of senselessness, not in the orbit of others, but in our own conduct. In the way we overspeak, trust without scrutiny, operate from unarmed emotion, and blame the environment for that which we lack the courage to face. This is a reserved conversation for those who have exhausted their patience with manipulation, for those who sense a dysfunction but cannot pinpoint its origin, for those who in quietude begin to suspect that the antagonist is, perhaps, closer than it seems, within. If you have ever felt that you are participating in a game whose rules were never revealed to you. If you have paused to look around and wondered why those who strive hardest to please are the first to be discarded. If you have been consumed by frustration with your own integrity, your selflessness, your hope, then this content is for you. Now, take a pause and breathe deeply. We will descend together into the subterranean depths of the psyche, into the labyrinths where foolishness is camouflaged as excellence, to reveal, under the uncomfortable light of naked truth, the 6 indicators of poor judgment, according to the maxims of Machiavelli, and according to that silent voice within you that already possessed this knowledge, but lacked the audacity to speak it aloud. 1. The man who confuses naivete with virtue, unarmed kindness. Do you recognize that individual who offers apologies even when he was the one wronged? Who forces an uncomfortable smile while reality pushes him out of his center, who extends aid without being asked? Many label him as a good person. But Machiavelli, were he here, would state it coldly, that man is a fool. We live in a time where benevolence has been erected as a dogma, a quasi-religious, unquestionable ideal. But the truth, that truth few dare to whisper at dawn, is that virtue, devoid of discernment, is merely an entry ticket to the manipulator's circus. The imprudent individual believes that being good is enough. He assumes that if he is amiable, the universe will return the courtesy, that if he is fair, he will be treated with reciprocity. But the world is not an immaculate mirror. It is a battleground. And in that arena, inexperience dresses as kindness and advances with blind faith toward the snare. Machiavelli warned, a ruler who only exhibits goodness will collapse among the multitude who do not possess it. And in your inner being, you know it, because you were the one who gave too much, who listened without retort, who uttered a yes for fear of losing an affection that was never authentic. You have already felt the burden of offering the best of yourself and being treated as if it were your inescapable obligation. The clumsy man mistakes tolerance for metal, calls empathy his weakness, and glories in his patience, even when it is merely the fear of confrontation. He is one of those who capitulate before the attack, believing that by sheathing his sword, others will do the same. Delusional, because predators do not respect the prey, they simply devour them. Observe his modus operandi, he almost never establishes boundaries. He endures insults disguised as sympathy. He laughs at jokes that demean him just to preserve the atmosphere and believes, with a touching faith, that his gentleness will soften frozen hearts. What he fails to assimilate is that reality venerates the one who imposes presence, not the one who hides behind laudable intentions. And there lies the precipice. He thinks his rectitude makes him untouchable, when in reality he is more exposed than ever, because the manipulator detects him from miles away. The narcissist feeds on his generosity. The opportunist tests him day after day until extracting the last drop of dignity. He nods when his interior screams negation. He offers help when his duty should be to mark distance and believes, with the naivety of a child, that his dedication will be rewarded. But Machiavelli knew. The benevolent does not prevail, the sagacious survives, the strategist, the one who knows when to give and when to withhold, when to absolve and when to sanction, when to smile and when to simply withdraw. Virtue, devoid of discernment, degrades into a currency without value and, worse, becomes a trap. Because the more the individual strives to be accepted for his goodness, the more transparent he becomes, the more predictable, the more vulnerable, the more superfluous. The reason? The powerful do not respect the one who squanders himself. They evaluate, they observe. And when they confirm that this individual will never say stop, they cease to perceive him as a human being and treat him as a resource, as something exploitable. If you recognize yourself in this profile, stop. Do not punish yourself, but do not deceive yourself either. True strength does not reside in being perpetually kind. It is in being equitable with oneself, in knowing when to articulate a no, when to take distance, when to look another in the eyes and demonstrate that there is an unnegotiable boundary. Machiavelli did not abhor the virtuous. He feared the candid, because in the art of life, and life is always politics, the one who ignores the rules ends up being a utilitarian piece. And kindness without shrewdness is always the first pawn to fall. You can be benevolent, but only if you are also strong. Only if your goodness is a conscious act, not a manifestation of fear. Only if you assimilate that, sometimes, the most compassionate act is to refuse to be exploited. 2. The man who fills silence with words, clumsy transparency. Observe an individual in total silence. You respect him. Perhaps he even inspires a certain fear. Now, observe the one who never stops talking, justifying himself, arguing, opining on every subject, as if the world implored his wisdom. Do you revere him or merely tolerate him? Machiavelli understood the value of silence like few others. In his optics, power is erected more by what is omitted than by what is stated. And the foolish man, he does not know how to be silent. He talks as if quietude were a threat, as if the absence of voice would lead to his disappearance. This type of man, perhaps you know one, perhaps it is you, feels the obligation to fill the void with verbs, reveals his plans to strangers, shares his weaknesses with those who never proved they deserved them. He hands over his intimate world like an open codex abandoned on any park bench. And in that gesture of supposed authenticity, he signs his own sentence. Look, he does not speak out of erudition, but out of deficiency. He does not share to establish bonds, but to obtain validation. He is the type of individual who rushes to narrate his aspirations, his afflictions, his resentments, believing that total exposure is synonymous with metal. But it is not. Exposure is just that, being exposed. Machiavelli would rule that this man is a senseless one because he reveals his fears, his judgments, his panorama of the world without filters, without gauging the environment, without considering the intentions of others. He converts his own lexicon into projectiles for anyone who seeks his annihilation. He grants power to those who do not deserve it, and, most tragically, he believes he is being authentic. He says phrases like, "That's who I am, I speak my mind," but he does not assimilate that this unstrategic frankness is like wandering naked among predators. The wolf lurks, analyzes, and attacks only when it has deciphered every inch of its prey. Do you know that man who, in a group, begins by revealing his political inclinations, his romantic breakups, his professional disappointments? He believes he is generating affinity, but what he is really doing is leaving vulnerabilities ready for exploitation. The lucid man, on the contrary, first observes, listens, analyzes, ponders, knows that every word has a price, that overspeaking is like opening a safe without knowing who is watching. Machiavelli taught that silence is a tactic and also an armor. An individual who masters silence is unpredictable, and unpredictability generates caution. Think about this. Who inspires more respect in you? The one who never stops talking or the one who observes you in total silence? To whom do you grant more credit? To the one who exhibits his wounds or to the one who selects when and where to show his frailties? The foolish man speaks even when his duty should only be to listen, argues when his only response should be a smile, defends himself when silence would be his most powerful tool, and in doing so, surrenders. He surrenders his essence, his position, his plays, his weak flanks. He becomes an easily readable text, a detailed map toward failure. Therefore, if you aspire to be respected, you must learn the weight of silence, not the silence of passivity, but the silence of wisdom. That kind of silence that generates uncertainty because it hides an ocean of designs behind a serene facade. To speak less is to be less predictable. And in a world where everyone wants to anticipate you, being unpredictable is one of the purest forms of sovereignty. Remember, the individual who keeps silent for strategy speaks with precision when it is imperative, and in that moment, everyone listens. 3. The man who trusts without proof, emotional blindness. There is an image that remains indelible. A man opening the threshold of his intimacy to a stranger just because the latter smiled at him. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? But many live that way, depositing their faith in barely known people, handing over their heart, their secrets, even their destiny, into the hands of one who has never been tested. Machiavelli would never rely on an individual solely because of their appearance. He knew that trust is comparable to a knife. If handled without caution, it ends up injuring its bearer. And it is precisely here that the foolish man becomes most evident. He confuses affability with metal. He believes that compliments are synonymous with immaculate purposes. He dispenses his trust as if it were a flower thrown into the wind, and most dangerously, he does so believing he is acting virtuously, as if the faculty of trusting without reservations were a sign of purity. But it is not. It is only a symptom of emotional short-sightedness. Look, a lucid man tests, examines the subtle details, the pauses, the patterns. He is not captivated by words, but by consistency. He understands that character is not manifested in promises, but in repeated decisions, in critical junctures, in reactions when no one is watching. In contrast, the foolish man yields his trust as if offering water to a thirsty person, without questioning the origin, the trajectory, the intention. He entrusts his confidences to those he barely knows, bets his resources on those who have never risked for him, and then, upon being betrayed, dresses himself as a victim, as if the universe had the obligation to be fair to someone who lacked the courage to be judicious. Trust is a rare currency, and every currency retains its value because of its scarcity. The foolish man does not understand that. He believes that trusting is a kind of unconditional, almost sacrosanct love. But affection is not blindness. True love observes, and real trust is built like a bridge, stone by stone, gesture by gesture, stumble by stumble, forgiveness to decision. Machiavelli would say that the essential error does not lie in the perfidy of others, but in having trusted prematurely. Because the one who trusts excessively without testing leaves their vulnerability to the random will of chance. The manipulator adores the fast-believing man. He does not need to weave great lies. It is enough to appear sincere. It is enough to simulate friendship. It is enough to strike the right vocal chords, those that resonate like music in the ears of one who desperately needs to believe that the world is benign. But reality is neither good nor bad. It is neutral and demands vigilance. The lucid man listens, but does not reveal everything. He shares fragments, gauges reactions, subjects the other to examination with minor secrets, with small faults, with strategic silences, and in that process he discerns who is worthy and who is not. Trust is not a gift, it is a conquest. The one who ignores this maxim always loses. And the most regrettable thing is that he does not even realize where his downfall came from. He believes he was a victim of deception, when in truth he surrendered without resistance. He knelt before the first person who made him feel perceived. The philosopher Thomas Hobbes envisioned man as the wolf of man. And perhaps his premise is correct. Only one who has confronted wolves knows the importance of cautiously selecting whom to place faith in. If you have been betrayed, do not blame yourself, but learn, test, observe. Do not sell your intimacy for a kind gesture. Do not confuse warmth with intention. The facade always collapses, but patience is required to wait, because if you do not test the moral fiber of your circle, one day your blind faith will be the portal through which your ruin will be consummated. 4. The man who is driven by passion, ungoverned emotion. There is a type of individual who considers himself strong for feeling everything with excess. He cries out his sorrow, explodes with rage, is passionately indignant. He assumes that this emotional surrender is a form of authenticity, perhaps even courage. But Machiavelli, with his implacable precision, would rule that this man is not strong. He is simply vulnerable, and not in the uplifting sense. Emotion, when not restrained, is not power. It is a weakness screaming to be taken seriously. The foolish man is guided by impulses. A word wounds him, a rejection destabilizes him, a failure and he detonates. But the world, this cold and silent battleground, does not honor explosions. It observes and acts against the one who is presented unarmed by his own temperament. Machiavelli understood the value of tactical coolness. He knew that true power resides in the one who, even while feeling, selects the opportune moment to manifest it. The wise man feels, but meditates before reacting. He is not a machine devoid of affections, but a strategist who understands that the emotional sphere is also a battleground. The foolish man, on the contrary, believes that expressing oneself is always noble, and it is not, because in the chess game of power, the one who reveals too much loses advantage, shows his resentment when his duty should be to smile, complains when he should remain silent, accuses when he should observe. And in doing so, he exhibits his weak points like banners in the wind. And when life strikes him down, as it does to everyone, he does not question, "What lesson can I extract from this?" He asks, "Whom can I hold accountable?" That is another poison, victimhood. The foolish man does not assume his mistakes, he displaces them. He blames the government, the ancestors, the relatives, the superiors' bad luck, never himself. Because to admit a mistake, a backbone is needed, and to genuinely transform, courage is required. And he prefers the chimera of comfort over the pain of metamorphosis. Look, an individual can fall 1,000 times. What defines him is not the collapse, but the use he makes of that fall. The strong man views suffering as a mentor. The foolish man treats it as a spectacle. He laments, he rages, he sinks into his own melancholy, as if proclaiming his pain were more crucial than unraveling it. He says, "No one understands me." But he has never dedicated the effort to understand himself. He waits for recognition, but does not build respect. He demands empathy, but does not offer clarity. He lives based on his passions and dies drowned in them. What he fails to perceive is that while he cries out loud, those who hold real power listen in silence, observe, and surpass him, because in the end, reality respects the one who knows how to transmute pain into knowledge and emotion into precision. 5. The man who blames the world, the self-victimizer. Machiavelli would never place his trust in an individual who reacts before reflection, because he knows that this man is a risk to himself and to his environment. An individual who operates under the heat of emotion is like a ship without a rudder. It is beautiful to watch it sink, but dangerous for those nearby. If you recognize yourself in that mirror, if you have noticed that your anger drives people away, that your sorrow paralyzes, that your emotion decides for you, perhaps the moment has come to call a truce. To pause, not to repress what you feel, but to subdue it, because true strength does not reside in feeling less, but in feeling with greater lucidity. In the end, the most lamentable foolishness is not trusting excessively or overspeaking. It is living as if passions were an excuse for everything. It is failing to assimilate that every poorly calculated reaction carries a cost, an opportunity, a bond, a possibility of evolution. And the worst is living as a prisoner within one's own chest, believing that the world must adjust to his internal storm. Do you yearn for freedom? Then, learn to be master of your own being, because the one who governs his emotions governs the world. The foolishness of an individual rarely manifests in monumental scandals. It is revealed in everyday life, in the subtle details, in ignored boundaries, in words articulated too quickly, in trust seeded out of need, in poorly managed emotion, and in blame thrown outward. Machiavelli did not write to censure, but to warn. He understood, like few others, that the gravest dangers do not come from declared enemies, but from the ingenuity rooted in the heart of those who refuse to reach maturity. 6. The man who refuses to see, the prisoner of illusion. The foolish person is not the one who is ignorant, he is the one who refuses to look, who prefers the fantasy of virtue to the clarity of strategy, who chooses complacency instead of establishing his position and, most sadly, believes he is acting correctly, because he was never told that on this plane, goodness without firmness is fragility, that transparency without criterion is exposure, that trust without proof is an invitation to disaster, and that emotion without filter is a tool for those who seek to manipulate him. But now you already know this, and this knowledge is a bifurcation. One path is called inertia, where everything persists the same, comfortable, predictable, weak. The other path is called metamorphosis, and it is brutal because it demands silence, it demands firmness, it demands deconstruction, but it leads inevitably to a destination that few reach, sovereignty over oneself. I had to stumble countless times to assimilate these truths. I remember an evening when I was betrayed by someone I blindly trusted. I found myself alone, in the discomfort of an empty kitchen, staring at my phone as if it would restore what I lost. It wasn't just trust that had vanished, it was the image I had of myself, that of the man who assumed that by being good, nothing adverse would happen to him. And there, in that quiet dawn, I heard an inner voice, a whisper that was not a shout. You are not being virtuous, you are being naive. It was painful to accept it, but it was an act of liberation, because only upon recognizing our foolishness does it lose its dominion. Now I wish to offer you something that is not for everyone, but it is for you, who have come this far seeking deeper understandings about your being and the direction of your life. I have conceived something that transcends a simple book. I have erected a map for the consciousness, a manual that amalgamates science, philosophy, and critical judgment to assist you in breaking mental patterns, questioning your identity, and rebuilding yourself from the foundation. This is not a text of banal aphorisms. It is a guide for those who can no longer bear to live in the autonomy of the superficial. If you feel that something within you cries out for evolution, clarity, transformation, this is your moment. Access the Manual of Self-Transformation. Do not read it out of mere curiosity, read it because your existence depends on that choice. If this production has moved you in some way, if it has induced you to reflect, if it has made you uncomfortable, perfect. That discomfort is sacred. It is the initial sign that something within you is ready for mutation. Thank you for allowing me to penetrate your intellect, perhaps your spirit, even if only for a few moments. This channel is not sustained by magic formulas. It is based on rigorous realities expressed with respect and depth. If you persist here, it is because you feel the same way, and I am profoundly grateful for that. Now, a pause for an ineludible touch of sarcasm. Have you already given your like to this content? Haven't you subscribed yet? Do you really believe that Machiavelli will appear in your bedroom at midnight to give you a personal sermon? It won't happen, but I can continue doing it every week. If you click below, support, comment, subscribe, not for me, but for you, because if this content has provoked a reaction in you, it is because you are prepared to delve deeper. And before concluding, the videos appearing on your screen are not there by chance. One of them will touch something you still don't fully decipher about your own existence. But I won't reveal which one. Discover it, choose guided by your intuition, and prepare for a few more additional truths that perhaps you are not yet ready to hear, but that you absolutely need. See you in the next dive. Or not. That only depends on your intrepidity to look within.